Dynamic duos have existed for as long as time itself, whether it be in the past, such as infamous criminals Bonnie and Clyde, who reigned over America in the 1930s, or in movies like Han Solo and Chewbacca, and even in literature like with Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson. And in all of these cases, there's always a sidekick to the hero. And this remains the case for the 2022 Boston Celtics. But before we get on with the video, how about taking a quick pause to smash that like button and click subscribe so you don't miss any of the newest videos. Alright, let's get back to it. Boston has had a rough go of it when it comes to playoff runs these past few years. In fact, since they drafted Jaylen Brown in 2016, they've had 5 straight seasons that ended in heartbreak for the Celtics. But when they drafted future superstar Jayson Tatum only a year later, it was like something in the organization flipped. Now that they had a young core heading into the 2018 season with a rookie Tatum and a sophomore Jaylen Brown, and that's not even mentioning a 24-year-old Marcus Smart, it almost seemed like there was light at the end of the tunnel. And in 2022, it seems as though that squad has finally reached the light, with the Celtics making the finals for the first time in 12 years. Though what I think separates this season from the rest of the Celtics years is the fact that players on the Celtics have finally found their roles. More importantly, Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum have slid into where they belong on the team. And I think a major reason for these stars finding their roles should be attributed to rookie head coach Ime Udoka, who accomplished something former coach Brad Stevens failed to do with this core. And those roles specifically would be Jaylen Brown as the Robin and Jayson Tatum as the Batman. Don't get it twisted, this isn't an insult or me throwing shade at Jaylen Brown, because the dude is an all-star who averaged 20 plus points for the last 3 seasons and could honestly be the number 1 option on at least a third of the teams in the league. I mean, if you throw Brown on like the Kings, Pacers, or even Thunder, then I think his stats improve to the point where people see him on the same level as Tatum. But that's not really an option for Brown right now. And so, as long as Brown is stuck in Tatum's shadow, the best he will ever be is seen as a Robin, which there is nothing wrong with that. And they proved it this year, because with the new sidekick and superstar roles, they have been able to make the championship round and even managed to win game 1. And this isn't the first time that we've seen this format work in the NBA. In fact, it was most successful in the 90s, when the Batman at the time was Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen was seen as his sidekick. And it worked so well that this team would go on to win 6 rings in 8 years. And only a few years after that, we got another superhero sidekick in a prime Shaq and a young Kobe, who managed to pull off the latest three-peat in the NBA. Though the Kobe-Shaq duo would eventually come to an end due to chemistry issues, and that may be what causes the end of this duo in Boston. I mean, how long will it be until Brown is tired of playing second fiddle? Only time will tell. What I do know is that as long as they play together, Tatum will always average more points, more assists, and more rebounds. Okay, let's get away from whether they'll separate, and let's talk about why they work so good together and why they shouldn't be broken up. During the 2022 playoff run, Tatum and Brown have flowed nicely, being able to play off of each other, with Tatum scoring 27 points per game and Brown adding a nice 22.9 points. And we just have to go as far back as Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals to see that these two can play well off of each other. As when they were already up by 20, Tatum would drive, drawing in a double team from the Miami Heat, only to pass it out to Brown, who was open on the other side of the court. And bang! Brown hits a 3 to seal the game. Tatum then leans back, spreads his arms wide, and lets it all out. Part triumph, part relief, and this pose only supports his partner in this crazy playoff run. You may think this is enough evidence to prove that they're a perfect duo. Yet, people will still point to how the Celtics were performing earlier on in the season. And the main reason this squad struggled so early on wasn't because they couldn't mesh well, but rather because Brown and Tatum only shared the court 19 times in their first 37 games. So they just weren't playing together a lot, whether it was because of injuries or dealing with COVID. And this is proof that because the duo shared the court, the Celtics had a record of 42 wins and 20 losses this season, which is 10 times better than their record with one or even both of them off the court. So, for the sake of sports and the Celtics franchise, let's hope this duo stays together.